everyone. Welcome back inside Centura Health Training Center for another episode of Broncos Now. As always, I'm your host, Sydney Jones. And coming up on today's episode, the team was back at practice today as they continue to prepare for the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll hear from head coach Sean Payton, quarterback Russell Wilson, and safety Justin Simmons as they discuss the team's mindset heading into the season opener. All that and more coming up. The team was back at practice today here at Centura Health Training Center as they continue to look ahead to their season opener versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And head coach Sean Payton announced today this year's captains. Safety Justin Simmons, tackle Mike McGlinchey, wide receiver Cortland Sutton, quarterback Russell Wilson, punter Riley Dixon, and safety Kareem Jackson were all voted on by the team. And head coach Sean Payton detailed today the importance of captains.
There's a lot that goes into that. Guys lead in their own ways. Obviously, the veteran players vote on these guys, and generally speaking, your better teams are player-led teams. Your average teams are coach-led teams, and your poor teams really have no leadership. So, I think it's important.
Safety Justin Simmons added to that and discussed what it means to be named a captain for another year.
It means everything. To be able to be named captain with your peers, year in and year out, it means a lot. So I don't take that lightly. It comes with the heavy burden, but one that all the captains will equally share, and I'm excited for the season.
And as the season opener is now just 4 days away, head coach Sean Payton talked today about how he feels at this point in the week and about his team.
It's not uncommon when the season starts to, you're anxious to see what you have. You haven't played a full game with your starters. You've been in the preseason. There's a handful of guys that are new here, coaches and players. And I would always say the first quarter pole of the season, you're in a sprint to improve and make corrections. And so, we're trying throughout this week to hit on everything that can come up with the younger players, ball security. It's different than the colleges they played at. How the ball is attacked defensively here is much more aggressive. And so, trying to head off some of these things that over time you've seen from experience, so that it's not a traumatic event that's forcing us to. Now, it's a game with mistakes. It's not without mistakes, but it's important for us to have a clean plan where guys are playing fast. And those are the things that I draw on, as you get ready to start a season with a new team.
Plus, quarterback Russell Wilson and safety Justin Simmons talked about getting off to a faster start this year and how important that will be.
I think every game matters, no matter if it's the beginning or end of the season. But I do believe that, you always want to start fast. I think obviously playing in front of our fans here, Broncos country, what an opportunity we have to obviously set the tone. To go up against the Raiders, a lot of history here between these two teams, and we gotta create a new history by playing one game and just winning that game and trying to do everything we can with that. And I think the best thing that we can do is be ready to battle and be ready to fight. It's going to be a long game. It's going to be back and forth, and there's going to be a lot of energy and emotion and everything else. And the team that can weather the storm.
It matters more now because it's here, right? Like, this is week 1 in 2023, and it's the Raiders at home. So what a way to start off 1-0 in our division, 1-0 in the AFC, and just 1-0 at home, protecting home court. So you got to be able to do that.
Russell Wilson also talked about how he's a different quarterback now and how he's changed from the start of last season.
Every year there's things that you go through. There's things, great things. There's challenges, there's new things, there's life changes and everything else. Obviously, moving here was a gift to be able to be with such a great organization. Obviously, coming from another great organization in Seattle too as well. Amazing 10 years there. Obviously, last year wasn't what we wanted it. So I think the biggest thing is going out in the field and just doing what we know how to do and playing at the highest level, winning football games and enjoying the process, respecting the process, continue to drive every day, push every day. Be in the best shape I can possibly be in my, every day, and mentally, I think too, mentally knowing that there's always ups and downs, and enjoying that part of the journey, knowing that I'm going to come out on the other side of it all, we're going to do that together, and we're all going to battle together, and it's just the beginning of the journey. And every year, you know, it's every year the goal is to win the whole thing. Just to be honest with you, and so anytime you're not in first, you feel like you're last. So we just got to come out here and play a great game. We got a long journey ahead of us, and we're all going to do it together.
And last but not least, here's a look at today's injury report. Tight end Greg Dulcich did not participate. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, tight end Chris Manhurts, and cornerback Riley Moss were all limited. Now joining me here inside the Broncos podcast studio to take a closer look at today's news is fellow team reporter Phil Milani. Phil, thanks for joining me on Broncos Now again.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
We're back to our weekly Phil shows.
Yeah, Wednesdays.
I know, Wednesdays.
I
The best
love
days.
the rhythm of the season. You know,
Me too.
It's a long stretch of months here covering the team, but I love, you know what each day is all about.
100%. Yep. Well, Phil, today we learned who the captains are for this
Yeah.
season. Justin Simmons, Cortland Sutton, Mike McGlinchey, of course, Russell Wilson, Kareem Jackson, and Riley Dixon.
Yeah.
Looks like a good group. I feel like no surprises there.
Most definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that your quarterback is your natural leader.
Right.
That makes sense there. And Cortland Sutton has really developed into that leader on the team, you know, just that hard to believe that he's sort of a veteran now,
I
you
know.
know.
Crazy.
But he's really that mature guy out there, and he's been through so much in his career. It makes sense. And then obviously Mike McGlinchey, you know, you could really, you know, people call him Senator McGlinchey for a reason, you know, so personable, has just a way that he carries himself that makes you feel like he's a natural fit for a captain. And then the two safeties, I mean, those guys really are running the group there.
For sure.
You know, PS2 maybe could have been a captain there,
I
but
was
he's
thinking
sort
the same.
of a little more of a quiet kind of guy,
Yeah.
lead by example, you know.
Still young.
But I think that eventually he'll be a captain, but makes sense for the old sage in K-Jack, and then Justin Simmons so vocal. And then really with special teams, Riley is really the guy who just makes the most sense there. Just you know, Will Lutz has just joined the team, so probably didn't make sense for him to be a captain just yet. And so Riley is the guy there.
Definitely, yeah. Well, Phil, now that we're just a few days away from the season opener, it was kind of interesting to hear Sean Payton talk about how it's not really uncommon to kind of feel anxiety, feel anxious at this time of the season because you have really no idea, you know, what you're going to get on Sunday. You're anxious to see how the team does as well.
He was talking about the Raiders, you know, and the change there with Jimmy G and everything, and then saying, look, the more the changes come when their staff changes, a coordinator changes, a coach changes. So at least from the Raiders' perspective, not too much change other than their quarterback being new there. But yeah, I kind of feel that anxiety anyway, just around here, just because you're never quite sure how it's all going to click together.
Right.
But of course, with Sean Payton, one of the things that's so special about him is his ability to game plan, his ability to call the perfect play, to keep the defense off balance. You know, this is what he's known for. And in this preseason, you don't do that.
Right.
So now that it's game time and the games matter, this week they're doing the game planning and they're going over specific schemes.
Getting their schedule together.
We're going to get our first look at what this thing looks like and how the Broncos are going to try to attack different things and how are they going to put Russell Wilson in the best position for him to succeed. You know, Sean was even talking about that again today. You know, you don't try to fix Russell Wilson, you try to find him.
Right.
It's something that Chris Collinsworth said, I guess, in the media, and Sean agreed. He said, look, we got to put him in the best position to succeed and let him do what he does best. And so, you know, in the preseason, you don't really unveil all that. You don't show all your secrets. So now we're going to get at least a little bit of a taste of that.
Yeah. And it certainly feels different this week, obviously being a game week, but there is a certain, you know, focus in the building, intensity. I know Justin Simmons said there's a different intensity in the building this week.
Well, you really want to know, like, hey, what's going on with Jerry Jeudy? Is he going to be able to play or is he not? So then, you know, Sean Payton maybe in the past would maybe give a little bit more about an injury, but today he was just like, he's limited.
He's limited.
That's it. That's all you're going to get out of him because, look, if Jerry can go or not, that's going to change things for how the Raiders prep. So
100%.
you got to be locked in when you're talking about that and just say, look, here's what the injury report says. That's all we're giving you. So yes, it is. It's time to really hone in and lock in, and I like that change in the feel in the building
I do too.
You know, this is serious now.
The season's starting.
Yeah, and you know, like getting off to a hot start, I think is going to be important for this team ultimately.
For sure.
You know, I think it builds confidence. It builds buy-in. You know, hey, what we're doing with that training camp we just went through, that was all worth it because look, here are the results. That's going to be big for this Broncos team.
Definitely. Phil, you mentioned Jerry Jeudy. He was, of course, limited at practice, like you said. So we'll see kind of how that progresses as the week goes on. But, you know, we heard Sean Payton and Justin Simmons talk about Marvin Mims today.
Yeah.
How do you hope to really see him step up?
Gosh, he's a mature young man, isn't he? I mean, just us talking to him in the media, you know, it doesn't really seem like anything's too big. Like he's just a lot of confidence, you know, and making that big play in the preseason game a couple of weeks ago, you could see what he can bring to the table. A little bit of a different dynamic than like a Cortland Sutton or Brandon Johnson or even Jerry Jeudy, you know. So, yeah, he's going to be inserted into a big role if Jerry Jeudy can't go. All of a sudden, you're not like, hey, I'm the fifth guy around here. I'm just going to make the most of my specific plays. I'm in there. No, you're going to have to contribute now. And I think he's ready for it. I mean, it really seems like after getting over that little injury to start, you know, where he wasn't able to do all the things out of practice, now he's like really in there doing everything. And they might have to rely on him big time come Sunday.
Definitely. Another guy that Sean Payton talked about too is Javonte Williams. You know, hasn't really put a snap count on him or how much he'll really play on Sunday, but says he's going to have a really big role. I think a lot of people are interested to see kind of, you know, how much he plays and kind of what that 1-2 punch between him and Samaje looks like.
Yeah, and, you know, for Javonte, obviously, it's going to be emotional going back again up against the Raiders where, you know, that's the team where he got hurt.
Good point.
So I think there's a little bit of emotion there, a little bit of emotion just returning anyway, emotional because it's the season opener. I can't wait to feel the vibe in that stadium because it's going to be rocking, you know. It does feel like people are excited about the Broncos, you know, even though last year obviously didn't go the way that everybody wanted it to. It does seem like Sean Payton's brought a new energy, you know, where people say, all right, things are going to be different now. There's sort of that feel. Yeah, I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. And for Javonte, we know that Sean Payton likes to use the running backs. And, you know, we know he's going to have a big role running the ball, catching the ball in the screen game, you know, and then obviously needing to protect Russ. So, yeah, I'm excited to see Javonte out there. I think the biggest thing with him is let's just be smart. It's a long season.
It's a long
17 games. We need you now, and we need you in December. And so let's try to stay healthy. Let's be smart about things. If you're starting to feel anything, don't push it. And just know, hey, there's two other really good running backs right behind you. You
100%.
know, and Samaje is more than capable of carrying the load. And then excited to see what Jaleel does too,
Really
because
excited.
you know, he's got that extra gear. We've seen it in the preseason. Now let's see it against the starters from the other side, and let's see it for a longer period of time in a game. I can't wait to just see what this whole squad looks like.
Yeah, me too. Phil, as you know, there's a ton of history between the Broncos and the Raiders, and unfortunately, the Broncos have lost 6 straight to the Raiders, but I liked what Russell Wilson said today about it. He said it's time to start a new history.
A new history, yeah. But then quickly he was like, but just one game at a time.
Just one game at a time, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of caught himself there.
But it's needed. Yeah,
I agree. You know, interesting just talking about the rivalry this week. Of course, Monday, Sean Payton said, look, rivalries, that's more of a college thing.
Right.
But this is a big game because it's a division opponent. You know, I wonder if he was trying to make it so that there's not as much pressure. You know, whenever Sean says something like that, I always sort of say, okay, well, why did he say that? And, you know, maybe that's because he wants to just take a little bit of pressure off the team and not make it bigger than it is, you know, because it's already a big game. But
definitely.
From a fan's perspective, you know, hey, it's the Raiders. You know, you don't like seeing these guys. They haven't won 6 in a row. Everybody pays attention to that Chiefs number, obviously, because that's gotten out of hand. But the Raiders quietly here, even the last 2 Broncos victories have been by 1 point each. In the series. So, you know, those were 2 close games that the Broncos happened to win. So, Derek Carr is gone, you know, so maybe that changes a little bit of it because seeing him back there, you always, he had a knack for getting rid of the ball so fast, you know, that kind of made you frustrated as a fan. And it'll have a different feel with Jimmy G, but still,
certainly will.
It's the Raiders. It's the silver and black. You don't like these guys. They play physical. You know, they got some big guys. These games always are a little edgy. And so I definitely think that there is a rivalry there between these two teams. Maybe it's not what it was back when our friend Steve Atwater was playing, you know, where, you know, you're playing on a baseball diamond and there's blood everywhere. It's not quite like that, but it's a division rivalry game, and it's still the Raiders, and you don't like them.
Yeah. The Broncos will look to snap that streak here in just a few days.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Yes.
Phil, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Sid. Appreciate it.
And Broncos fans, don't forget, Paramount Plus is your streaming home for every local NFL on CBS game this season. Visit ParamountPlus.com to start your free trial and stream Russell Wilson and the team as they battle the league's best. Plus, get an all-access pass to 24/7 NFL content with CBS Sports HQ, Fantasy Football Today, NFL Slime Time, and more. And this year, Paramount Plus is your streaming destination for Super Bowl 58. Another action-packed Broncos season with NFL on CBS awaits, so stream Paramount Plus from any device all season long. Well, that'll do it for today's episode of Broncos Now, Broncos Country. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll meet you right back here on the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube tomorrow for another episode. See you all then.